How did the voting process in our bi-state area hold up on Election Day? Now, in Kansas, this was also the first election that you had to show a photo ID. You may remember there were lots of concerns that many people would be disenfranchised. Voters would be turned away at polling stations. There could be mass confusion on Election Day. Did we witness any of that on Tuesday?
Not really. I mean, the usual problems, the usual I went to the wrong polling places, but and there was some frustration with that, particularly on the Missouri side. Missouri's problem, in my view, Nick, is much more its inability to implement early no-excuse voting, which would solve a lot of these problems if people could vote over a 2-week period. I don't think voter ID caused a big snafu. Photo ID in Kansas, as some expected. I talked to Chris Kobach yesterday. He said, you know, it went as smoothly as he expected it to. Let me just say this quickly about Kobach, because we're talking about the national picture and Sam Brownback. Republicans are talking increasingly about compromise on immigration reform. Chris Kobach is the poster child for tough immigration regulations across the country. His star dimmed significantly when Barack Obama was elected because, as many Republicans believe, in part because of the Latino vote. I think he was the one, if we're going to make a list of winners and losers, he probably lost pretty big on Tuesday.
Okay, how about, were there any problems that you saw then from News Radio 980? Regarding the election process?
Well, there were a couple of things that came up at McCaskill headquarters. What we were told is that there were people still standing in line at 7:45. Now, this was in St. Louis, and I wasn't here in Kansas City, obviously, but I understand there were some long lines there as well. Now, St. Louis anticipated some big problems that didn't happen because they had police officers assigned to specific precincts. We didn't have that here, but other than long voting lines, I agree with Dave, no big problems.
I'm not aware of anything big either, Nick. Yeah, it went pretty smooth.
No, I'm interested to know if local control was an issue of having police at all the precincts. was that
well, I should note that since the election, Kansas Secretary of State, as Dave Helling is mentioning him, Chris Kobach, now says he wants to ban voters from taking photos of their ballots inside polling stations. Secretary Kobach says he's alarmed by the number of people who are posting pictures of their completed ballots on Facebook and Twitter, while people seem to be using the pics mostly to advocate for a specific candidate or show pride in how they voted. He's worried that historically ballot photos have been used by voters as evidence to show someone how they voted in return for payment or favors. Kobach says he plans to introduce legislation in the 2013 legislative session to prohibit that activity. Now, several states already have this. They've banned this practice. He's concerned about it. Isn't that a legitimate effort here to try and make sure that doesn't happen then?
I'm not really sure what the issue is here, Nick. I'm not, you know, these days with computerized voting, you can take a picture of your screen and then you can change your vote right back again after you've taken your picture. I'm not aware of this being an issue. I think, you know, Kobach has sort of made a name for himself by being very tough on election fraud, whether it exists or not. I'm not sure this is an example of a real problem.
I can imagine people using a picture of their ballot, a paper ballot especially, as kind of a receipt in case, because they've heard so much about Florida. I can't imagine this is a big deal that warrants legislative action. I don't see it.
Dave?
I agree with my colleagues, Mr. Toohey and Mr. Kraske. I don't think that people getting paid for their ballot is a huge problem in the state of Kansas.
Okay, we'll wait for those hearings in Topeka to find out what the problem